Whoa, did you see that? Hello, friends.
Aloha.
We wanted to share a special adventure that we had with you, and it's brought up all kinds of thoughts, from how we treat nature to alien intelligence to, wow, a lot of stuff. So come along with us on an octopus adventure.
Let's go. Oh my god!
It's okay.
Just stay calm. Stay calm. Wow. Nice.
Is that a neat feeling? It's an amazing feeling.
They're each very different.
Yeah, each one has a personality.
Yeah. I touched Chili Pepper first. He was very strong and not aggressive, but very there. And then I went over to Honey, and she was just super gentle. So we went to a place called Kanaloa Octopus Farm, which is here in Kona, Hawaii.
So there are a couple of different things. There's some seahorses down there, and this was the octopus farm. Was it cool, girls?
Yeah.
Did you have fun?
It was so awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, we got to meet some amazing creatures, which was mind-blowing, I would say, and have some experiences
It was so awesome.
that would
So
have been
Lily,
really
who was your favorite?
tough to have
Honey.
otherwise.
Honey. Tell
Honey.
us about Honey.
She's kind of calm.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. She was a smaller female. It was interesting. I met another octopus first named Chili Pepper, was a male, and he was very curious. And what was the feeling when you first got touched, Mirabelle?
Oh, I can't describe. The only other thing that I've felt that feels like it is when I'm drinking a water bottle from a water bottle, and I go like this.
Inside the spout?
Yeah. And somehow that feels like it.
You got sucked.
Like on the upper lip, but no, it's
What did
not
it feel like
sucking.
for
It's
you,
different.
Lily?
It's amazing. The only person who touched me was Honey, I think.
Honey.
Oh, she was very gentle.
Every single octopus there has its own distinct personality.
Oh yeah.
And that is part of the magic of octopuses, which is that they are very strangely intelligent. I'm going to say strangely instead of highly, because I'd like to talk about intelligence in general. And should we launch into that first?
Sure.
Well, okay, so what are octopuses? They're cephalopods,
They're cephalopods,
an invertebrate related to.
like a clam, which you do not think of as being intelligent. In fact, if you adhere to evolutionary theory, it would be over 500 million years ago when there was a common ancestor between ourselves and octopuses. And why that's relevant is that on this branch of the family tree, that ancient separation, on this branch of the family tree, you have creatures like mammals, birds, which we consider to be more intelligent. And then on the other side, you have a whole class of beings who usually have no brain. So in other words, they will have neurons in there, but they're not centralized at all into anything that we would call a brain. But all of a sudden, right here, we have octopuses and we have cuttlefish. These cephalopods, and squids could go into there too, but especially the octopuses and the cuttlefish, that have, again, a very strange type
It's just
of intelligence.
I think it was an eagle or something. So beautiful.
Now, how we measure intelligence or talk about intelligence is kind of confusing, because even in humans, we've used IQ tests as this marker of intelligence, but that doesn't necessarily correlate with something like emotional intelligence. So we'll have people, for instance, that might be super brainy. You probably know some people like this who just are math whizzes or this or that, but put them into a place where they have to communicate with somebody and it might all fall apart. And vice versa. So all these different kinds of human intelligences, and that's just in the realm of humans. If we expand out to mammals and stuff, we know that there's things like dogs that to us seem like they're pretty intelligent. We can really relate to them. And birds are another big one where recent science has been very surprised at how intelligent a lot of these birds can be, especially because science has kind of been saying intelligence is based on brain size as opposed to or contrasted with body size. And birds don't score really high on that. But as we look at their brains, they seem to be turbocharged, kind of high octane brains.
Yeah, and they process the world so differently. I mean, people have studied birds now for a while, and there's some interesting things going on with birds. But then you jump to the octopus.
Really bizarre.
Tell us about their brains.
Okay, so you've got
I think they're supposed to have like 3 or 2 brains. I forget how many. Remember the one guy said they have more than one brain, but I forget how many he said.
Yeah, and it's kind of true. So when you look at raw number of neurons, which is something that we sometimes use as a measure of intelligence, you've got about 500 million neurons in the average octopus. Now that's nowhere close to humans. We're in the, I think, hundreds of billions, but it's on par, I think, with dog. So over here, again, on this side of the family tree, this high neuron count. But what makes octopuses very strange is that there's about 1/3 of those neurons are centralized in a central brain, but then there's no spinal cord, and the rest of the neurons are scattered throughout each of the tentacles. So what we seem to have is, how could we imagine this? As if you could control your arms and your legs, but at the same time, they were kind of autonomous.
They work together.
They kind of make their own decisions. Yeah.
But they work together. Like you're like, hey, arm, do you want to go? Can you help me go over there?
So it's almost like you have brains in your arms and legs?
Yeah.
Whoa.
It is. So this starts to get kind of mind-blowing as we try to imagine this. And it's why this is so neat that over on this side of the family tree, we have this blossoming of, again, what we'd call intelligence, because this is probably the closest, until we actually meet some aliens, the closest that we'll ever get to an alien intelligence that has evolved completely differently from anything that we think of as intelligence.
And in a completely different environment from what we're mostly used to. Although we do have very intelligent marine mammals in the ocean, whales, and all of the different...
Dolphins.
Yeah, exactly.
Something to ponder. Often when we imagine an alien intelligence, we picture it much like our own, accomplished at things like logic, mathematics, or conception of past and future. Can you imagine a totally different consciousness? One that emerges from a totally different environment and with totally different foundations? Can you imagine the consciousness of an octopus, an alien right here with us?
I try to imagine they're preyed upon very heavily in the ocean, and they also are predators. So that brings me to thinking about their camouflage, which, whoa, they can change faster than that.
It was so funny. One time Honey got a little annoyed by something, like she didn't like Lily putting her hand in front of her eye.
Oh yeah.
And then she just, above it, she got one little spike, like little mountain. And it just stayed there for a while, a little horn.
So they can change color. They can put ripples of color going through them.
And they can also change, like...
Texture.
Texture.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they can go up to a rock, you know, if they were on land, they could go up to this, and they would suddenly appear in texture and color, just like this lichen-covered tree behind us.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Yeah, it's really crazy, and all of this happens, think about this a little bit, with, as far as we can tell, the octopus being colorblind.
What?
That is, oh my.
Every time someone says that, I just think, no, that can't be true.
If they turn different colors, how can they not see colors?
Right. Color is a visual thing. So
Yeah.
how can an animal go onto a red background and know that it should be turning red? Here again, we have one of the great mysteries of the octopus, which
Oh
is
my
that,
gosh. Wow, that's just out of the mind.
yeah,
Can't think it.
is that they seem to have photoreceptors in their skin. Not that they see through their skin, but somehow their skin
They
can
sense colors.
color, which again is a visual
How do
thing.
you do that? So you can't sense a color. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Oh my gosh, I just, wow.
Yeah, at least science, doesn't think we can. So we've got some real mysteries. And another one of the big mysteries about octopus intelligence is, why do they have this intelligence? Again, if we're talking evolution, then here's this strange thing. How long do these octopuses live?
1 to 2 years?
Yeah, about 14 months for these octopuses that we were
These
meeting.
are the day octopus that we're meeting in Hawaii here. And I guess the giant Pacific octopus, which is the largest octopus, they live, what, maybe 2 to 5 years at the most, roughly around 3.
Something to ponder. Why so much neuron power in an animal who lives only a few years with relatively little time to amass experience?
Speaking of the giant Pacific octopus, if you're fascinated by this at all, which, I mean, there's so many facets of it to be boggled by, I want to put out, just as my own personal recommendation, Cy Montgomery. She is an amazing naturalist.
Oh
She
my
has
gosh.
written a book called The Soul of an Octopus.
Oh, and all her other books too. Just go get them all.
She's an amazing adventurer.
But in this
naturalist, yeah.
case, The Soul of an Octopus, you just won't even believe it. She not only talks about a lot of their physical traits that we've been talking about here, but about experiences that she has with them and that other researchers in the field have had with various different octopuses. It's really, I highly recommend it.
What are some other weird octopus facts?
Let's see, let me think. Oh yeah, each sucker can like individually move.
Yeah.
Or maybe not individually, I don't know, but they're quite flexible. It's like she's doing this and one stays there, but two go like that. And the soul of the octopus, it tells how they eat. So they go from one sucker to the next, to the next, to the next.
Like a
all the
conveyor
way
belt.
up to their mouth.
Which
Yeah.
is what does their mouth look like?
Do you know, Lily? No. A beak.
Beak.
gonna
And
guess
they're venomous, right? They have
Yeah.
venom there in their bite. Wow. Some of them, like that one in Australia, it's a really small blue-ringed octopus,
Oh
I
yeah,
think.
it can fit in the palm of your hand.
Very lethal.
It will kill you.
It will kill you. So, what about there's no skeleton in there, right? So you've
That's-
got this huge octopus, and what can it do?
Oh,
Oh yeah, so like an octopus that big, including its tentacles like that big, it can fit into a hole this big.
It's limited only by the size of that beak. That's the only hard part. And they're kind of shapeshifters. So they can move their bodies in weird ways. Again, they can change their texture.
How big
It's
is their
unbelievable.
How big is their beak though? Like that big?
It's going to be different on different sized octopuses.
I think.
But it's not that big.
I think octopuses. I'm not sure if it was squid or octopuses, but I think it was octopuses. Squirt black
Ink.
ink.
How many amazing things can this animal do?
Oh my gosh! Wow, I wish I had so many skills. And legs grow back.
yes.
Wow, okay.
Oh
So
my
you can
gosh.
regenerate. Cut off an arm?
Oh my gosh!
big
I want
problem.
this. I
Plus
want
they're
these
just
powers,
so
please.
soft.
The feeling?
They're so
Oh.
soft. Right
So they have
here.
the mantle is that head part. And the feeling of that mantle is
It's so soft.
And silky.
It's like silk, but softer.
and at the same time, these are super strong animals. So
Oh, they're
I
strong.
put the GoPro in,
Oh.
and
Very curious. They love the GoPro.
One sec.
over and over.
The one man who was leading our group, he said, if anyone, it's fine if you guys take pictures or whatever, just beware and please let us know, don't be shy if the octopus takes your thing, because they love playing with it. They will take it and they will come back out, and all they will give you back is a piece of your camera.
So yeah, they take those GoPros apart just like a clamshell, and they just wrap around them, crack them open, and then just dismantle the whole thing. And boy, they grabbed our GoPro a lot, numerous times.
They thought it was so interesting.
Yeah. They're so interactive, aren't they?
What was his name? Especially Charlie. Charlie.
Oh, Charlie, yeah.
Especially Charlie.
Okay, they have another power. Remember, so there's the gills on either side.
Oh
and
my gosh.
Then there's this weird little thing.
And they
Remember what it's called?
Squirt you. The
Siphon.
siphon.
Yeah.
They can squirt. And I got scared once Honey did it to me underwater, and I was like, ooh!
Yeah, they can really shoot some water pressure out there.
And good aim,
And that siphon can just kind of suck into one gill and come out the other, and they can aim it. And often octopuses that are in captivity, they will squirt the people around them.
And Honey hardly ever even pointed it toward us, except for that one time when she squirted me underwater.
And again, we don't fully understand what their actions are about. They seem to do it sometimes when they're fond of somebody. They seem to do it when they're annoyed with somebody. Those color changes too.
Then how do
What's
you
that?
tell? The worst that's gonna happen to you by octopuses is getting wet.
You probably get soaked.
And what was his name? Charlie. Just ate beautifully.
Those color changes, we don't know. So she was talking about feeding them. When she was feeding this one octopus, he would go through really rapid color changes. And these color changes, we're not sure if they're using them to communicate with each other, if they're using them to express their emotional state, because they seem to do red, for instance, when they are excited or alarmed, and they seem to often do white when they're calm and relaxed. Honey was almost always white, right?
Always
Or
white.
light colored, yeah.
White. Charlie, when he ate, first he turned red when he was looking at the food, and then he turned white when he was on the food, and then he turned red again when he went back.
Yeah.
Red, white, red. Red,
He
white, red.
seemed to be actively hunting.
Yeah, I felt like that's what he was doing, because he would peer out with his eye, and then the food would drop down, and boom, he would come out, and then he would go back in, and then
Or
his
he'd
eye would peer
slowly
out.
crawl out and grab it. Come back in.
It was all in all a very, very interesting experience,
Amazing.
and incredible to really actually physically touch another being. It felt like another being.
That was amazing.
And this brings up something about our interaction with nature as human beings, because as you can see, they're not in really diverse habitat here. So these octopuses specifically they get them from fisher folk who are gathering them by hand, and they don't kill them underwater. They bring up and then they purchase them from that. So in a way, it's kind of a rescue, but at the same time, in rescuing them, money is going to the fisher folk who
Are gonna
then-
go get more octopuses.
yeah. So the mission of this place is to try to learn how to breed octopuses so that they can be there for the food trade, so that they're not being taken from the wild.
Yeah, either to eat or to be used as bait, because a lot of fishermen use octopuses as bait for larger catch.
And that's where it gets ethically kind of sketchy for us, because this goes for nature in general. I didn't get to participate in it, but Scouting Free recently did a live video stream, right, with some people talking about the leave no trace ethics. And there's something to not disturbing things in their natural habitat. But there's also something to, if we just say humans cannot interact with nature, then we step back and we no longer have a relationship with nature.
Yeah, we become distant.
Yeah.
I feel like there's, who was it, Aldo Leopold or somebody like that, who was very, in his youth, just, you know, go off and let's shoot birds just for the fun of it and this and that. But then those people then become connected. There's something about having that connection that eventually you want to protect and you want to maintain and you want to prolong and proliferate.
I remember as a kid, I had a stick as a sword at my grandparents', and in their garden I would go around and I would just practice my swordsmanship on these little yellow butterflies, these little sulfurs, and just kill them, slaughter them. And
the truth comes out.
Right. And I think, oh my gosh, that is not how I would like to think about my ethics with nature. And yet doing that, it got me outside, it got me playing in nature, sometimes stopping and looking at those little bodies of the things I had killed. And in doing so, it sparked an interest in nature. That was just one of many things. But there's a blurry line there about, do we say, no, we don't bring in those octopuses? But then we never would have had this experience with this amazing creature, which I think has woken us up in some ways. Something to ponder. Where do we draw the line between respectful interactions with nature and destructive ones? I mean, it's one thing to hear on paper about, okay, these creatures are intelligent. You meet them, you experience their personalities.
You can just tell.
Right. They're looking at you. Again, every single one has a different personality. If they were all just robotic machines, as science used to think of animals, they would all act pretty much the same. Some just stayed down in their enclosures, didn't want anything to do with humans. Others, Honey, she just wanted to be up there and be petted and stroked and to reach out and gently touch. Some of the others just were like,
I know, other ones were like, grab, grab, grab. But
Yeah.
Honey was just like gently, only part of her, her whole tentacle would be touching you, but only some of her suckers would be sucking. It's just so...
It was a really, really unique
awesome.
experience for us. So tell us some of your animal encounters or your thoughts about nature and about touching nature. Do we stay close? Do we wall it off? What kind of a balance do we strike here?
I'd love to hear about your experience with animal intelligence. And again, I'm putting that in quotes, not because I think animals are not, but sometimes I look at humans and I think, should that be applied to us?
Human intelligence?
Because
Oh boy.
Daddy?
So this whole concept of consciousness or quote intelligence, what have you experienced with other animals, birds, any kind of animal, that has led you to feel that there's more there than science currently understands, although it's definitely unraveling stuff as we go along here and acknowledging more and more that animals have some pretty amazing cognitive abilities. What were you going to say, Lily?
You are sometimes not smart. Like when people say 100 times for you not to go too close to the water. And then you update. Dad had a second smash that looked like the same.
I told them in a video.
Yeah.
Well,
so they all understand, Lily, what you're talking about.
All right.
Thank you for joining us on this adventure. We were so excited to share this with you. And please just check out The Soul of an Octopus. Amazing read. And just notice some of the things we talked about in this video as it goes along.
Cy Montgomery, we love you. She's so inspiring, you guys.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, this is a woman
And
that...
don't just check out her octopus book.
Yeah.
I mean it. Do all of them, or even buy them all. That'd be great.
Whether she's trying to go
If
meet
you
the
guys-
tigers.
If anyone buys them all, tell me, and then I'm going to come and visit you, and I'm going to stay as long as it takes me to read all of her books.
Or the Amazon dolphins or things. She just like plunges right into nature with no fear for her life or what could happen to her, and has these amazing in-depth nature experiences. Talk about connecting with nature. Check her out. Love to you all.
Bye.
Thank you for watching.
Bye.
Can't wait to hear what you have to say in the comments.